In 1918, in the small village of Mvizo, a boy named Ralilala was born. His name, meaning troublemaker, reflected a traditional belief that names carried destiny, though no one yet understood how powerful his destiny would become. Ralilala was born into a family closely connected to leadership. His father served as a principal counselor to the Thembu royal family, placing the young boy near authority, tradition, and political influence from his earliest days. When Ralilala's father died, his childhood ended abruptly. The loss forced a major transition, removing him from village life and placing him on a path shaped by responsibility, expectation, and the powerful traditions of the Thembu people. After his father's death, Ralilala was taken to the great place at Nkekazwini. There, the acting regent of the Thembu people raised him as a royal ward, exposing him daily to leadership and governance. At the great place, Ralilala watched elders resolve disputes and debate important matters. Though he rarely spoke, he listened carefully, learning how authority was exercised through patience, respect, and collective decision-making. Ralilala received a British-style education at missionary schools. Discipline was strict, lessons were foreign, and African culture was often discouraged, shaping his early understanding of colonial influence and cultural displacement. At school, a teacher gave Ralilala a new name, Nelson. It was a simple classroom decision, yet it symbolized how colonial systems reshaped African identities to fit European expectations. As he grew older, plans were made for him without his consent. An arranged marriage awaited him, reflecting royal tradition, but conflicting deeply with his growing desire for independence and personal choice. In 1941, Ralilala fled the Great Place to escape the arranged marriage. He traveled toward Johannesburg, leaving behind royal comfort for an uncertain urban life that would permanently transform him. Johannesburg was nothing like the world Mandela had known. The city was loud, crowded, and divided by race, where wealth and poverty lived side by side, revealing to him the harsh realities of urban segregation and injustice. To survive in the city, Mandela found work as a law clerk. Inside courtrooms and offices, he observed how laws were used not to protect everyone, but to control and punish black South Africans. While in Johannesburg, Mandela joined the African National Congress. The organization offered him a political home, where frustration with injustice slowly transformed into disciplined resistance and organized activism. Daily life in Johannesburg exposed Mandela to extreme poverty, police harassment, and racial humiliation. These experiences hardened his resolve, convincing him that polite appeals alone would never dismantle a cruel system. Mandela and other young activists believed the ANC needed urgency. They rejected slow progress, calling instead for mass action, discipline, and fearless resistance to challenge apartheid directly. To force change, Mandela co-founded the ANC Youth League. Its mission was clear: transform the movement into a militant, mass-based force capable of mobilizing ordinary people against racial oppression. As Mandela advanced his legal training, he came to see the law as both a weapon and a shield. Understanding it deeply meant being able to challenge injustice from within the system itself. In 1952, Mandela partnered with his friend Oliver Tambo. Together, they shared a vision of justice rooted not in privilege, but in service to people constantly targeted by apartheid laws. Mandela and Tambo opened South Africa's first black-owned law firm. Their office became a refuge, offering affordable legal help to those harassed, arrested, and silenced by apartheid's brutal legal machinery. By the early 1950s, the apartheid government intensified its grip on South Africa. New laws controlled movement, work, and identity, transforming everyday life for black citizens into a constant confrontation with state-enforced injustice. As oppression increased, Nelson Mandela emerged as a leading symbol of resistance. His confidence, discipline, and fearlessness made him a visible target, but also a source of inspiration for thousands demanding dignity and equality. Mandela was appointed volunteer-in-chief of the Defiance Campaign, a nationwide movement of nonviolent protest. Thousands deliberately broke unjust laws, filling prisons to expose apartheid's moral bankruptcy. Through disciplined nonviolence, Mandela believed the movement could awaken global conscience. Each arrest, each beating, and each sacrifice was meant to reveal the cruelty hidden behind the law. In 1960, the illusion of restraint shattered at Sharpeville. Police opened fire on unarmed protesters, killing 69 people. The massacre marked a devastating turning point for Mandela and the liberation struggle. After Sharpeville, Mandela reached a painful conclusion. Nonviolence alone could no longer protect lives. The state had answered peaceful protest with bullets, leaving resistance with fewer moral options. Mandela disappeared from public view, moving secretly between safe houses. The press called him the Black Pimpernel, a man constantly one step ahead of the police, living a life of constant danger. In secrecy, Mandela co-founded Umkhonto we Sizwe, meaning Spear of the Nation. The organization was designed to carry out sabotage, targeting symbols of apartheid power rather than human lives. By 1961, Mandela had crossed a historic line. From lawyer to protest leader to revolutionary, he accepted that freedom would demand sacrifice, secrecy, and a struggle far more dangerous than before. In 1962, after months underground, Nelson Mandela was captured by apartheid authorities. His arrest marked the end of his freedom and the beginning of a long confrontation between one man's ideals and the full power of the state. Even before the major trial began, Mandela was already serving a short prison sentence. Yet the government was determined to silence him permanently, preparing far more serious charges behind closed doors. The state charged Mandela with sabotage and conspiracy to overthrow the government. These accusations carried the ultimate threat, the death penalty, making the Rivonia trial a matter of life or death. Mandela entered the courtroom knowing he might never leave alive. Calm and defiant, he stood not only as an accused man, but as a representative of millions denied freedom under apartheid rule. Instead of pleading for mercy, Mandela delivered a 4-hour speech. He transformed the trial into a global indictment of apartheid, explaining why resistance had become necessary and unavoidable. Mandela spoke of a dream larger than himself, a democratic and free society where all lived with equal opportunity. His words framed the struggle not as revenge, but as justice. He ended with words that echoed across history: "I have cherished the ideal of a democratic and free society. An ideal which I hope to live for and to achieve, but if needs be, an ideal for which I am prepared to die." The courtroom fell silent as the verdict was delivered. Mandela was spared execution, but sentenced to life imprisonment, a punishment meant to erase his voice from the world forever. Instead of ending his influence, the Rivonia trial immortalized Mandela. As prison doors closed behind him, his words escaped into the world, transforming a prisoner into a global symbol of moral courage. In 1964, Nelson Mandela was sent to Robben Island, a remote prison surrounded by cold ocean waters. It was designed to isolate, break, and erase political prisoners from public memory. Inside the prison, Mandela lost his name and became prisoner number 46664, the 466th inmate admitted in 1964. The number was meant to strip him of identity and dignity. Each day, Mandela was forced to work in a limestone quarry. The blinding white dust burned eyes and lungs, while the hard labor tested bodies already weakened by poor nutrition. Mandela was allowed only one visitor and 2 letters per year. These restrictions were designed to crush hope, sever family bonds, and make prisoners feel forgotten by the outside world. Rather than surrender to despair, Mandela imposed strict discipline on himself. He exercised daily, controlled his emotions, and believed personal dignity was a powerful form of resistance. Mandela transformed Robben Island into a university. He educated younger inmates, teaching politics, history, and leadership, ensuring the struggle continued even behind prison walls. Mandela made a surprising choice. He learned Afrikaans, the language of his captors. He believed understanding his enemy was essential to negotiating, influencing, and eventually dismantling apartheid. Outside prison walls, Mandela's number, 46,664, spread across the world. It became a rallying symbol for the global anti-apartheid movement demanding his freedom. Though imprisoned for years, Mandela was never defeated. Robben Island failed to break his spirit. Instead, it forged a leader whose moral authority grew stronger with every passing day. In 1982, after 18 years on Robben Island, Mandela was moved to mainland prisons. The transfer signaled a shift, as the apartheid government began responding to growing international and internal pressure. At Pollsmoor Prison, Mandela was isolated from fellow political prisoners. Though still confined, the conditions hinted that the state now saw him not only as a prisoner, but as a political figure. By the mid-1980s, apartheid South Africa faced mounting global condemnation. Sanctions, protests, and diplomatic pressure transformed Mandela into an international symbol of resistance and moral authority. Mandela understood that history was turning. From his cell, he began considering negotiation as another form of struggle, believing that dialogue could achieve what decades of confrontation had not. While still imprisoned, Mandela entered secret negotiations with apartheid officials. These discussions were risky, controversial, and unseen, but they laid the groundwork for a peaceful transition of power. Mandela was later moved to Victor Verster prison, where conditions were less harsh. The relative freedom allowed him to prepare mentally and politically for the possibility of release. Outside prison walls, South Africa stood at the edge of chaos. Violence, resistance, and fear filled the streets, making Mandela's leadership increasingly essential to prevent civil war. On February 11, 1990, after the ANC was unbanned by President F.W. de Klerk, Mandela walked out of prison a free man, ending 27 years of incarceration. As thousands cheered, Mandela raised his clenched fist, a symbol of resilience, victory, and unfinished struggle. South Africa, and the world, watched history turn in that single moment. In 1994, South Africans of all races stood in long lines to vote for the first time together. It was a historic moment, marking the end of apartheid and the birth of a truly democratic nation. Nelson Mandela was inaugurated as South Africa's first black president. Once labeled a terrorist, he now stood as head of state, embodying forgiveness, sacrifice, and the possibility of peaceful transformation. Rather than pursue revenge, Mandela chose reconciliation. He believed South Africa's survival depended on healing old wounds, bringing former enemies together, and building a shared future grounded in dignity and respect. In 1995, Mandela made a bold symbolic gesture. Wearing the Springbok rugby jersey, once a symbol of white supremacy, he embraced unity, signaling that the new South Africa belonged to everyone. When South Africa won the Rugby World Cup, the celebration transcended sport. For a brief, powerful moment, the country stood united, proving reconciliation was not just an idea, but a lived experience. After just one presidential term, Mandela stepped down voluntarily. In a world where power is often clung to, his decision reinforced his belief that leadership is about service, not control. In retirement, Mandela became a global elder statesman. He used his moral authority to mediate conflicts, promote peace, and remind world leaders that compassion was not weakness, but strength. Mandela also devoted his later years to fighting HIV/AIDS, breaking stigma and speaking openly about loss, prevention, and responsibility, using his voice to confront one of Africa's greatest health crises. When Nelson Mandela passed away in 2013, the world mourned. Yet his legacy endures. A reminder that courage, forgiveness, and moral clarity can change nations and reshape history itself.
If this story mattered, don't let it disappear. Like the video, subscribe, and help us preserve history. This is Griot Archive.